I first noticed the glitch 3 days ago. I was walking to the corner store, same route I always take, when I felt a sudden dizzy spell. Just for a second. Like the world tilted sideways. No big deal, right? Probably just stood up too fast. Except when I blinked, Mrs. Abernathy was back at her mailbox, again, wearing the same faded blue housecoat, sorting through the same stack of envelopes. She nodded at me, just like she had 30 seconds earlier. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" she called out. I mumbled something back, confused, but not alarmed. Deja vu happens, brain misfires, whatever. Then I saw the FedEx truck passing by. The same exact truck, same driver looking down at his phone, and the same license plate ending in KWR3. My heart rate kicked up a notch. When I reached the store, the same teenage couple was leaving, the girl laughing at something the boy said, identical to before. The same cashier ringing up the same old guy buying cigarettes. I left without buying anything. It kept happening, small loops, 5 minutes at most. Sometimes just a few seconds. I'd be mid-conversation with my roommate and suddenly he'd be back at the beginning of the sentence, completely unaware. I'd be brushing my teeth and suddenly I'd be walking into the bathroom again. Nobody else noticed, just me, trapped in these little time hiccups, fully aware but unable to change anything. I tried telling my sister. She suggested I see a doctor. "Seriously, Jess, this isn't normal," she said, concern etching her features. The doctor found nothing, a clean bill of health. He suggested stress, maybe lack of sleep, and prescribed some anxiety medications, which I didn't take. By day 5, the loops were getting longer. 30 minutes, an hour. I'd relive chunks of my day while everyone around me followed the same predetermined script. I started testing it. During one loop, I deliberately knocked over a glass of water at lunch. When the loop reset, I watched the glass sitting there, waiting to be knocked over again. Instead, I moved it to the centre of the table. My friend Marcus stopped mid-sentence staring at the glass. His eyes were wide, then glossy, like a TV losing signal. For 3 solid seconds he froze completely. Then he blinked rapidly and continued his story as if nothing had happened. But the glass stayed where I moved it. That's when I realised I could change things within the loops. By day 7, I started documenting everything, recording conversations and taking photos of random moments throughout the day. The evidence was undeniable. Exact repetitions down to the inflection in people's voices, the position of cars in traffic, the number of birds on a telephone wire outside my apartment. The loops were getting more frequent too. Sometimes I'd experience 3 or 4 in a single day. Yesterday was the breaking point. I was in the middle of a work meeting when it happened. That familiar dizzy feeling washing over me. But this time was different. When reality reset, I wasn't back at the beginning of the meeting. I was back at the beginning of the day. My entire day starting with my alarm going off at 6:54 a.m. 14 hours to relive every single detail. I tried changing bigger things this time, called in sick. The loop resets when I hit the county line. Telling everyone what's happening, they either think I'm crazy or forget as soon as the loop resets. I even tried hurting myself, thinking maybe pain would shock me out of it, but nothing works. I discovered something terrifying today. I was at the crosswalk, same one I cross every loop, when I noticed an old man watching me from across the street. He looked directly at me and nodded like he knew. When the loop reset, I ran to that same corner. He was there waiting. "You see it too," I said, not a question. He smiled, revealing teeth too perfect for someone his age. "Not exactly, I make it." Before I could process what he meant, he grabbed my wrist. His touch was ice cold. "Time is circular, but only a few can perceive the curve," he whispered. "You're special. I've been waiting for someone like you." I pulled away and ran home, locked all the doors. But it doesn't matter, does it? When the loop resets, I'll be back at 6:54 a.m. with my alarm blaring. Except there's something else now, something new. When I look in the mirror, I notice small changes. My eyes look different, older somehow, and there's a small mark on my wrist where the old man touched me. A perfect circle that wasn't there before. I think I understand now. I'm not caught in a time loop. Time is trying to get rid of me, but that old man, he's helping it. I hear footsteps outside my bedroom door, but everyone in this house is already asleep. The doorknob is turning. I don't think I'll make it to the next loop. I've been working at Meridian Tower for 3 years now. Standard corporate setup, 52 floors of glass, steel and soul-crushing fluorescent lighting. My marketing team is on the 37th floor, sandwiched between legal and HR. Nothing weird about the building until last Tuesday. I was running late for a client meeting and needed to print some revised contracts. Our floor's printer was jammed again, so I decided to try the 36th floor. I've done this before. The IT department doesn't care as long as you don't abuse the privilege. The elevator ride down was normal. The door opened. I stepped out and found myself in a place that didn't exist. The 36th floor was wrong. The layout was the same. The elevator bank opening to the reception area, hallways branching left and right, but everything else was off. The walls were bare concrete instead of the standard beige paint. There was no carpet, just unfinished subflooring. There was no ceiling panels, just exposed pipes and wiring. No furniture except a single metal desk in the centre of what should have been the reception area. There were no people, no sounds, not even the usual AC hum. I thought I'd gotten off on a floor under renovation, but there were no construction materials, no tarps, no tools, nothing. "Hello?" my voice echoed in a way it shouldn't have, a place that size. I pulled out my phone to text my boss that I'd be late. No signal, not even Wi-Fi, which is weird because our company network reaches every floor. Something about the emptiness felt threatening, like the air itself was watching me. I turned back to the elevators and pressed the call button. Nothing happened. The button didn't light up. I pressed it again, harder this time, then pounded it with my fist. The elevator I'd arrived in was just gone. The doors were there, but when I pried them open with my fingers, there was only a concrete wall behind them. That's when the panic set in. I spent what felt like hours searching for a way out. The emergency stairs should have been at the end of the east hallway, but I found only a blank wall. Same with the west side. The windows looked normal from a distance, but up close they were just black triangles painted on concrete, no glass at all. The floor had the right dimensions, the right layout, but it was like a crude stage set of the real building. Eventually, I found one office with actual furniture, a desk, a chair, and an old computer. The monitor flickered to life when I touched the keyboard. No login screen, just a command prompt. Welcome back, Visitor 7. State your purpose. I hesitated, then typed, I'm lost. I need to get back to the 37th floor. Invalid response. State your purpose. I want to leave. Invalid response. State your purpose. My fingers hovered over the keys. What the hell was my purpose supposed to be? On impulse, I typed, to observe. The screen flickered. Purpose acknowledged. Observation period 24 hours. Then the screen went black. With nothing else to do, I explored more carefully. The floor had exactly 52 offices, the same number of floors in the actual building. Each room was identical, concrete walls, no windows, no furniture. Except for strange markings etched into the floors, different in each room. Some looked like circuit diagrams, others like mathematical equations or strange symbols I didn't recognize. In room 37, corresponding to my actual floor, I found names scratched into the wall. My colleagues' names, including mine, with a date next to it. Tomorrow's date. I must have fallen asleep eventually. When I woke, the computer screen was glowing again. Observation period complete. Findings. I sat down and typed, what is this place? This is the blueprint. The blueprint of what? The building, all buildings, all structures. I don't understand. Reality requires maintenance. We monitor from here. We? Who else is here? Visitors 1 to 6 remain. Like you, they asked questions. My blood ran cold. Where are they? Integrated. I heard a noise behind me. The elevator doors were open, showing an actual elevator cab. Your observation period has ended. You may return or integrate. I didn't need to be told twice. I ran for the elevator and pressed 37. I made it back to my floor. Everything normal. Nobody noticed I was gone. Apparently only 10 minutes had passed. The client meeting hadn't even started. But things were different now. Sometimes I see glitches and momentarily disappear before reappearing. Objects shift positions when no one's looking. Yesterday I watched our receptionist repeat the same greeting to a visitor 3 times, identical each time, like a skipping record. The worst part? The windows. Sometimes just for a split second, I look at the city and see nothing but a concrete wall with a city painted on it. And I keep finding new markings on my skin, small symbols that match the ones from the rooms on the 36th floor. They appear overnight, etched into my arms, my back, my chest. I think I know what integrated means now. I'm becoming part of the blueprint. I've been a game tester for nearly 5 years now. Most days it's not as glamorous as people think. Playing the same level 50 times to find that one bug that crashes the game, or spending 8 hours running into every wall to check for collision errors. But the pay is decent, and hey, I get to play video games for a living. Our current project is Endless Realms, a massive open world fantasy RPG that's been in development for 6 years. 3 delays already, with the suits upstairs getting desperate to ship. I'm on the environmental testing team. My job is to try to break the world however I can. 2 weeks ago they pushed a major update to our test build. New terrain generation algorithm, improved NPC interactions, the works. The project lead was excited, said this update fixed the fundamental problem that had been causing most of our persistent bugs. The first day with the new build seemed promising. Environments loaded faster. NPCs didn't walk through walls anymore. Quests actually triggered in the right sequence. Everyone was celebrating. Everyone except me, because I found something that wasn't supposed to be there. It started with the Crimson Forest region, an area with blood-red leaves and perpetual autumn. I was checking boundary limits, riding my mount as fast as possible towards the edge of the playable area, trying to outrun the texture loading. That's when I saw it, a small patch of terrain that didn't match the rest. Maybe 10 feet square, just wrong. Instead of forest floor with red leaves and underbush, it was what looked like asphalt. Grey, cracked pavement, like a piece of a parking lot had been copied and pasted into this fantasy world. Easy fix. The next day the patch was still there when I loaded in, bigger now, maybe 30 feet across. And there was something new, a yellow line painted across the asphalt, like a lane divider on a road. I updated my bug report, included screenshots, tagged it as progression issue. Day 3. The patch had grown to roughly the size of a tennis court. The yellow line was now clearly visible as the double yellow line from a highway, and there was something else, what looked like the edge of a guardrail appearing from the ground on one side. I pulled my supervisor over to look at it. "That's weird as hell," he said, squinting at my monitor. "Almost looks like real-world assets somehow getting imported. But that's not possible with our engine." He promised to escalate it to the development team. Day 4. Half the Crimson Forest was now overlay, which was unmistakably a rural highway. Guardrails, reflector posts, even power lines running alongside. The red trees still grew through parts of it, creating this bizarre hybrid landscape where fantasy and reality collide. And there was a car, an actual, detailed, real-world car, a blue Honda Civic, partially visible, as if the road had been sliced at an angle and only the front third of the vehicle was showing. I wasn't the only one seeing it now. The whole testing team was gathered around my station, developers were remoting in, people were taking videos with their phones. "It's got to be a prank," one of the junior devs said. "Someone's modding the build." But the security team confirmed no unauthorized code had been pushed. This was something in the core engine. Day 5. The entire Crimson Forest was gone, replaced by a perfect replica of a stretch of highway. I suddenly recognized with a chill Route 16, about 20 miles outside our office. I'd driven it hundreds of times. Complete with cars, moving cars. Kill the build, our project lead ordered. Everyone roll back to version 5.2.3. The official story was corrupted environmental assets. We all got an extra day off while the development team worked around the clock to purge whatever was causing the issue. When we came back, they'd rolled everything back to a build from 3 weeks earlier. Lots of the old bugs were back, but no one complained. No one mentioned the highway either, like some unspoken agreement had been reached to pretend it never happened. Except I couldn't stop thinking about it, about those cars. I swear I recognised a red pickup truck that had passed through the scene, my neighbour's distinctive truck with a dented fender and NRA sticker on the tailgate. A week later, out of pure curiosity, I drove out to the stretch of Route 16, just to see it in real life, to confirm to myself that our game had somehow imported real-world location data. The stretch of highway looked exactly the same as it had appeared in our game. Same curve, same guardrails, same power lines. But there was one difference. In the real world, there was construction underway. A road crew was repairing part of the whole highway, with machinery and those big orange barrels directing traffic to one lane. The foreman was standing off to the side, looking at plans. When I slowed down to rubberneck, as one does, he looked up directly at me, and I recognised him. Not as someone I knew in real life, but as an NPC from our game. Blacksmith from Veloria Village, perfectly rendered in flesh and blood, wearing a hard hat and safety vest instead of a leather apron. He recognised me too, I could tell by the way his eyes widened. I panicked and drove straight home. I called in sick the next day. I tried to convince myself I was seeing things. But that night I booted up our game's test build at home. The entire world has changed. Cities, forests, mountains, all gone. In their place was our city, my city, perfectly rendered down to the trash cans outside convenience stores and the graffiti under the railway bridge. I navigated the character to my apartment building, which stood exactly where it should be. Inside, I found a perfect digital replica of my home, and in the living room, sitting on the couch, my character, my game avatar staring at a TV screen, showing a game of its own. I shut down the computer and haven't turned it back on since. That was 3 days ago. This morning I finally worked up the courage to go back to the office. The entire building was empty. Computer still running, coffee cups half full, jackets draped over chairs, like everyone had suddenly vanished. On my desk was a note written in my handwriting that I don't remember writing. The patch was successful, merger complete. Outside the window, the sky occasionally flickers to show lines of code. Sometimes when I blink, I see loading screens. My hand just passed through my coffee mug like it was made of air. I think we weren't importing real-world assets into our game. We were exporting our game into the real world. And now the patch is complete. Update. Things are getting worse. Parts of town are despawning when no one's looking at them. People are reporting NPCs that repeat the same conversations day after day. Some folks have found invisible walls where they can't go any further in certain directions. And missing persons reports are through the roof. Theory on the local subreddit is that people are falling through glitches in the world. I tried leaving town yesterday, got as far as the city limits before the car stalled. When I got out to check the engine, there was nothing under the hood, just an empty space with a small spinning circle, the loading icon from our game. I think we're in a limited play area, a contained build for testing, and something is watching to see how we perform. I found a terminal in what used to be our server room, ASCII interface, just like the debug console in our development environment. It only responds to one command, status, simulation integration, 87% complete. Estimated time to full deployment, 72 hours. God help us when it reaches 100%. I was always the skeptical type. Ghosts, conspiracies, parallel dimensions, all that stuff was just entertainment to me. Until 2 weeks ago, when my apartment started echoing moments from my past. It began with something small. I was making coffee one morning when I heard the distinct sound of my shower running. I live alone, so naturally I freaked out. I grabbed the heaviest thing nearby, a cast iron skillet, and crept towards the bathroom. The door was open, the shower was off, completely dry. I would have dismissed it as imagination if not for the lingering scent of my shampoo in the air, the same shampoo I'd used earlier that morning. Later that day I heard my own voice coming from my bedroom, the muffled sound of a phone conversation. I distinctly heard myself say, "Yeah, I can make Thursday work," exactly as I had during a call with my boss that morning. Just an auditory hallucination, I told myself. Stress, lack of sleep maybe. Maybe I needed to cut back on caffeine. But then it escalated. 3 days later, I was reading in my living room when the TV suddenly turned on by itself. Before I could reach for the remote, I saw footage of myself sitting in that exact spot reading that exact book from earlier that day. Like security camera footage, except I don't have cameras in my apartment. The angle was from the corner of the ceiling. I stared paralysed as on screen me turned a page, sipped from a mug, scratched my nose. All things I'd done hours before. When I finally snapped out of it and lunged for the power button, the TV shut off on its own. I called my friend Ellie, who works in IT. "So your apartment is recording you?" she asked, clearly sceptical. "Not just recording, playing it back, like it's stuck in some kind of feedback loop." "Carbon monoxide," she said firmly. "Get a detector today." I did. The levels were normal. I started documenting everything, set up my phone to record timestamp videos whenever I was home. The phenomena continued. Snippets of conversations I'd had, sounds of my morning routine playing in the afternoon, the shower running when it wasn't. But my recordings caught nothing unusual, just me, looking increasingly sleep-deprived, staring anxiously at empty rooms where I could clearly hear these echoes. A week in, I saw myself. I was washing dishes when movement caught my eye. Down the hallway I saw my own back disappearing into the bedroom, wearing the same clothes I had on. I dropped the plate I was holding and ran to the bedroom. It was empty. That night I stayed at a hotel. In the morning, after a decent night's sleep, I felt ridiculous. I'd let my imagination run wild. Gas leak, old buildings with thin walls, stress-induced hallucinations. There had to be a rational explanation. I returned home determined to get a grip. That resolve lasted until I opened my apartment door and saw myself sitting on the couch scrolling through my phone. Not a glimpse, not a flash. Full-on corporeal me. Completely solid, utterly real. I froze in the doorway. The other me didn't look up. "Hello?" My voice came out as a whisper. No response. Other me kept scrolling, paused to type something, then resumed scrolling. I recognised the moment immediately. It was yesterday afternoon, before I'd left for the hotel. I'd been checking Reddit, responding to a comment. This wasn't an echo anymore. This was a full replay. I stepped fully into the apartment, closed the door behind me. The sound should have alerted other me, but there was no reaction. I walked closer, waving my hand in front of my doppelganger's face. Nothing, like I wasn't there, or like it wasn't really there. I reached out hesitant and tried to touch my double's arm. My hand passed through it, meeting no resistance, yet it looked completely solid, not transparent, not glitchy. A perfect three-dimensional recording of a moment that had already happened. I spent the next hour watching myself from yesterday move around my apartment, make a sandwich, pacing while on the phone with Ellie, packing an overnight bag for the hotel. When it finally vanished, right as past me walked out the door, I sat down heavily on the couch, trying to make sense of what was happening. The next day brought a new development. The recordings began including moments I didn't remember. Me having a heated argument with Ellie in my kitchen, something that never happened. Me sobbing on the bathroom floor at 3 a.m. I've never done that in this apartment. Me staring out the window for hours, completely motionless. I started keeping a detailed log of these false memories, these fabricated moments. They all featured me, but they showed me doing things I hadn't done. At least, not in this timeline. The strangest was seeing myself writing frantically in a notebook I don't own, muttering, "It's collapsing, the barriers are too thin here." I decided to set up proper cameras, ones that would upload footage to cloud storage. If my apartment was somehow replaying moments from parallel timelines, I needed proof. The cameras captured nothing unusual, just empty rooms where I could clearly see and hear these alternative versions of myself. Yesterday, things changed again. I came home to find a notebook on my coffee table, the same one I'd seen my alternative self writing in. It hadn't been there when I left. Inside were pages of frantic notes, all in my handwriting, but I hadn't written any of it. This is attempt number 7. The apartment exists as a nexus point between timelines. Each version of me has experienced the same phenomena, seeing other iterations of themselves. Some versions figure it out sooner than others. Theory: our timeline is collapsing. The walls between parallel realities are breaking down at specific geographic locations. This apartment is one such location. I've mapped 9 distinct timelines so far. In 3 of them, I die in this apartment. The final entry chilled me to the bone. If you're reading this, you're probably another version of me. By now you've seen the echoes, the recordings, the versions of us that made different choices. It's going to get worse. The timelines are collapsing into one another. Soon you'll start seeing the ones where you die. Don't stay and watch. It speeds up the convergence. Each time a version of us witnesses our own death, it creates a paradox that escalates the process. I'm leaving tonight. I suggest you do the same. I packed a bag immediately. As I was leaving, I heard a loud thud from the bedroom, followed by choking sounds. I almost investigated. Almost. Instead, I walked out and haven't been back. I'm writing this from Ellie's couch. I haven't told her the whole story, just that I'm having issues with my apartment, maybe a gas leak. But this morning I realised something that makes my blood run cold. The clothes I'm wearing, I don't remember buying them. The small scar on my hand, I don't remember getting it. Some of Ellie's references to our past conversations, I don't remember having them. I don't think I escaped the collapsed timelines. I think I'm in the wrong one. Last night I caught Ellie staring at me with a strange expression. "You seem different," she said finally. If only she knew how right she is, and if only I knew which version of her I'm talking to. So it's been 3 days at Ellie's place. Things seem normal at first, but now I'm noticing discrepancies. Photos on her wall show us at events I have no memory of attending. Her cat has different coloured markings than I remember. The news is reporting events that don't align with my timeline. This morning I found a note in my handwriting slipped under my temporary bedroom door. Wrong solution. Leaving the apartment doesn't work. The nexus point follows you, not the location. Count the scars on your left arm. How many do you have? I have 3. The version who died by hanging had none. The one who slit her wrist had 17. We're merging. Meet me at the coffee shop across from our apartment at 3 p.m. I think I found a way to stabilize the convergence. You, version 12. I check my left arm. 5 small scars I don't remember getting. I don't know if I should go to that meeting, but I also don't know if I have a choice anymore. The timelines are converging around me no matter where I go. The most terrifying part? I just caught a glimpse of myself standing in Ellie's kitchen. But this version has a deep gash across her throat, eyes vacant, mouth moving soundlessly. She pointed at the clock. 2:45 p.m. I'm leaving for the coffee shop now. If I don't update this post by tonight, well, maybe another version of me will.